Thank you for joining us today, and this is part of our Filipino American History Month celebration. So we appreciate you joining us on a beautiful afternoon in San Francisco. The San Francisco Public Library acknowledges that we occupy the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone people, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. We recognize that we benefit from living and working on their traditional homelands. As uninvited guests, we affirm their sovereign rights as first peoples and wish to pay our respects to the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Ramaytush community. And in that link that I put in the chat box, you will see a link to resources and a reading list all about Indigenous culture, particularly in the Bay Area. All right, now I want to give some announcements about upcoming. We have so much happening in October, so please come around. This Saturday, this is going to be our, these first events will be all about Filipino American History Month. We have a film screening and filmmaker discussion, Sci-Fi Alumom, amazing female protagonist too. So we'll watch the film and then we'll have a discussion. In person on October 21st, in our Latinx community room, the lower level of the main library, book launch, 6 p.m. Let's gather, come on down. October 23rd, our librarian from the Filipino Center, Abe Ignacio, will be in conversation with the historian from, I want to say, I can't remember, so I apologize for that. But a historian from a Philippine organization here in San Francisco, and I'll get it in the chat box. And they're going to be talking about how the Imperial War affected San Francisco and all of the ramifications in the Filipino community. On the 26th, we have the amazing author Carla Cornejo Villavicencio. This is our On the Same Page campaign, where we encourage all of San Francisco to read the same book at the same time. And the book is The Undocumented Americans, which you can pick up at all locations right now. It's really an interesting book, and where she combines like almost journalism essayist, but with her own personal spin and memoir, includes like mental health. It's very heavy, but great book. So please check it out. And we are celebrating the amazing work of Lydia Ortiz, who did this gorgeous poster for us. She is so great work, and so vivid and colorful and amazing. And she'll be talking about her work and her journey to becoming an artist and how she got to where she is. And that's happening October 28th, 7 p.m. in Zoomland. Tonight we have Demons, Creatures, and Monsters, Oh My. And that's going to be a docent-led presentation by the Asian Art Museum talking about all their scary collections. So come on, one night only. It's only on Zoom. You have to register, and it's not recorded. So come on by tonight, 7 p.m. On Saturday, we have our African American Center and a panel talking about trauma, tresses, and truth, untangling our hair through personal narrative, featuring writers and poets. And this is a partner event with MOAD. And Total SF on November 17th in the Corrette Auditorium, also streaming. But come join us. We are looking for some companionship and live gathering again. And it's in the Corrette, so we can space out and be social gathered, but social distance. So get your book, Why We Swim, also going to be hitting every library shelf by tomorrow. So go check that out. And all right, lots more events, and I will put links into the chat box. And now I'm going to turn it over to our small business librarian, Kirsty, who is going to tell you about today's presentation.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name is Kirsty. I'm the Small Business Center librarian here at the main library. I want to introduce Diosa Blooms. Diosa Blooms is a Filipinx flower and plant shop and family business in San Francisco's Mission District, located at the corner of 22nd Street and Cap. Each member of the family plays an integral role in creating the success and liveliness of Diosa Blooms. They're proud of their Filipino heritage and also strive to support communities of color by working with local artists and collaborating with grassroots organizations and nonprofits. Diosa Blooms is also dedicated to creating a more sustainable floral industry by engaging in environmentally aware business practices. They let the seasons guide their designs and source most of their flowers from local vendors throughout the Bay Area. Diosa means goddess in both Tagalog and in Spanish. Please join me in welcoming Krisha from Diosa Blooms.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for the introduction. I really appreciate it. Once again, everyone, my name is Krisha, and I am one of the owners of Diosa Blooms, and we are a sister family-owned, operated flower shop in the Mission District in San Francisco. I'd like to give a big shout out to Kirsty for inviting us to be a part of this. This is absolutely amazing. So thank you so much for having us here. It's very exciting. So today I'm going to be showing y'all how we create one of our signature flower designs that we call the shrimp chip bouquet. And this shrimp chip bouquet is really just a flower arrangement that we put together inspired by Jollibee shrimp chips. So this kind of came about while my sister Kaylene was working on just a regular flower arrangement, and she was actually just munching on the shrimp chips and was like, wow, I'm going to make this arrangement based off the shrimp chip bouquet. So what we're going to be focusing on is actually going to be like the colors of the wrapping of this bouquet. For us, as florists, colors for an arrangement is really important. Like obviously we focus on different parts of the bouquet, but color is definitely one of the main things that we like to really perfect, because having a good combination of colors really sets the mood of the arrangement. And so sometimes like arranging flowers could be kind of repetitive, and we actually repeat color palettes and it becomes kind of boring doing the old usual same old. So drawing inspiration from different things makes the arranging part of it fun and creative again. So in this case, we're just drawing inspiration from this. So yeah, I'm gonna get started by showing y'all the types of flowers that we'll be using. So when you look at this, just the wrapping, you definitely get kind of pink reddish hues. So we're definitely going to be working with flowers that have that same kind of color palette, more of the pinkish reddish tones. We like to use fillers, which are like the tinier little flowers like this one here. This is called wax flower. It is part of the filler. Then we like to use accent flowers, which are something like this, your carnation. And then we also like to use focal flowers. The focal flower is kind of like are the flowers with the big bloom. They're like the big flowers that really put the bouquet together. These are your focal flowers. So I'm going to be showing y'all how we put these together to create the shrimp chip bouquet. So I usually like to start with the filler, just something kind of bushy like this. It's a really good base to start with. So we like to use these, the wax flower. Sorry, getting a little tangled there. And when we build a bouquet, you want to have a loose hand, whatever hand you like to work with. I'm right-handed, so my loose hand is usually the opposite, which is my left. So you want to have a nice loose hand, grab your filler flowers as your base. And then I actually then grab the bigger flowers next. So my bigger flower, in this case, the focal flower, this is a protea. And I'll just place the protea in the middle of the bouquet. That way, it kind of sets the direction of where this bouquet is going. So I only have 3 stems in my hand right now. And it's pretty big right now. After I grab these flowers, I'll grab my Lysianthus. I wish you could see it better. Let me put this down. And as much as possible, when you're arranging a bouquet, a hand-tied bouquet, you want to maintain a crisscross motion with the stems. So if this stem here is going to be placed in the front, the next stem has to be placed in a way where it crisscrosses, because you always want to have a crisscross motion. So if you can see, my stems are kind of crisscrossing each other. And when you do this, the flowers tend to move around, and that's okay, because once you get closer to the end, it'll start to make more sense. I like to work with threes. It's a lot easier when you're arranging. So for this, I'm going to add 3 of these Lysianthus. This is what we've got so far. Not quite there yet, but we're getting there. And then I'm going to next add the carnations. I like these carnations just because it gives us a little pop of color, like how this shrimp chip here is kind of in that yellow hue. So I'm going to add these. Once again, keeping up with that crisscross motion. So what we've got so far. And then I'm going to add my roses next. I like to use this kind of orangey rose color. I know there's no orange in the shrimp chip film, but it gives it a good composition and pop of color right there. So we're going to add our roses. So we're getting somewhere. Right now you could see that we've got 3 roses, 3 Lysianthus, which are these pink ones, 3 carnations, which are these. The only thing that I didn't add 3 of is this big protea here. And that's just because this is a really big tropical flower. You don't really need 3 of these. 1 is enough. 1 equals 3 for this tropical flower anyways. So the next flower I'm going to add is going to be this anthurium. This anthurium is actually the main inspiration of the entire bouquet. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to put this down real quick. Because of this anthurium's flower looking like a shrimp chip, that was actually the thing that inspired the entire bouquet. My sister was eating shrimp chip bouquet. She was so hungry. And she noticed that this chip looked like the center of this flower. I don't know if you could see the comparison, but they kind of look the same. But because of that, it kind of just inspired the whole thing. And so when we put it together, we were like, oh my gosh, we not only love the flower choices, but also the colors of it really, really inspired us. And when we were making this arrangement, we were also in the process of creating signature products that we wanted to feature on our website. And we definitely wanted to incorporate our Filipino heritage into our website. So when this came about and we were like, oh my God, Filipino childhood snack into a bouquet, it kind of just like, it clicked for us and it worked for us. So like Christy said, we definitely like to work with seasonality. So not all these flowers are always going to be the same, but we like to always make sure that the colors are the same as much as possible, as close to this shrimp chip wrapping. But in addition to that, the one thing that we'll always have, no matter what season it is this pink anthurium. This pink anthurium really ties in the bouquet for us because I don't think we could really call it a shrimp chip bouquet without it being there. It looks like the shrimp chip so much. So I added 2. When I put my flowers together, I like to have them kind of loose and far apart. I don't usually like them all tucked together like this. I kind of want them loose. And that's why I say having a loose hand is best. And then at this point, you could actually just add as many flowers as you want to fill. So I'm going to add the rest of my other flowers in here to give it a little bit more volume. We like to play with different heights also. Like I never want the flowers to be all one height. It has to be kind of like one down, one up, one down, one up. That way it just has like a better composition. And then I like to add like my accent flowers like this. This is actually just a dried grass. It's just so cute and it gives it like that bit of texture that I like in bouquets. So if it was, I don't like it all being one height because it kind of looks like bunny ears. So if I'm gonna add two, I'm gonna lower one lower than the other so that it looks more artistic, I suppose.
Krisha, someone is asking if all the stems should be the same height, or do you take care of that later?
I actually do take care of that later. Like right now when I'm arranging, like they're all different heights because I like I said, like I like one flower down, one up, one down, one up, like because I want it to not look too uniform. I like them to look different, different heights. So right now they're all different heights, but when we're done putting the bouquet together, that's the point where I do trim the stems even. But right now, keeping them different heights is totally fine because we're just putting the bouquet together. So this is almost done. At this point, you just want to rearrange your flowers, make sure that it's all at the height that you want it. And then because we are a Filipino business, we wanted to make sure that it has a little bit more of a tropical feel. So we wanted to add a tropical leaf in the back to give it that feel. And this tropical leaf really makes a difference, and you'll see it as soon as I add it. It just really puts the bouquet together. And I have two here because I want one here and one down here. So this is the final outcome before I cut the stems together. I know you're not really getting shrimp chip yet, but it does get there. And once we wrap it all together, you'll kind of get the overall vision. The main thing we like to focus on though are these anthuriums. So at this point, like, I like to just grab my clippers. And the way we like to cut things is by arm length. So I kind of like measure it by my arm. Of course, we all have different arm lengths, but it's just a good guide. I like to put my arm next to it, and wherever my elbow ends is actually where I'm going to cut it. So somewhere around here is where my elbow ended. So that's where I'm going to cut. And you just cut it like that. And so at this point, the stems are now even. And yeah, we'll just actually wrap it up at this point. So I do wrap it up. Let me go. Put this down. Okay. So when we're wrapping it up, because we wanted to match this is the star of a bouquet, we like to match this. We wanted to choose a wrapping paper that we thought would complement it. So when we wrap it together, it will look like this. And this is how a person will receive the bouquet if they ordered it with the shrimp chip bouquet. So, you know, they get the idea that the colors in the bouquet was inspired by this. Yeah. That's actually all I've got so far. Was there any questions?
There are. Let's see. How about
Let's see. Oh, there's a lot of questions. Sorry about that.
no worries. Do you sell single flowers? Like, could a person come in and buy the flowers they wanted to create their own bouquet?
Oh, absolutely. We sell all of these by the stem. Like, you could definitely order it as a whole thing, but if you wanted to walk in and just make something up yourself, we definitely sell them by the stem. And because like you mentioned, the seasons are always changing, so the availability of flowers are always different. So at any time these flowers could be changing, but we like to at least make sure that the colors are the same. What kind of pruning shears do we use? We like to use just regular garden shears. Those work great. But in terms of like just being at home, if you're building something at home, there's actually no problem with just using regular scissors. Regular scissors work just fine. The only issue that you might have with regular scissors, if you're working with something that has a very thick woody stem, it might be hard for the scissors to cut, but usually scissors still cut through just fine. So yeah, regular scissors would work just fine if you're just working at home. Okay. Any other questions?
What tips do you have for making bouquets last inside? Longevity, I guess.
Okay, so longevity is really huge because I love to enjoy my flowers as long as I can. So definitely the first tip I will let people know is to keep your flowers away from the sun. I know it looks so cute when you have your flowers next to a window and the sun's shining on it, but that harsh heat is going to burn your flower, not from the bottom of it, but the head itself. It's going to burn the petals, and the petals will just droop and die. So you want to keep your flowers away from the sun. And that also works for, it also happens with heater. If you have your flowers next to a heater, basically any heat source, like even if you're cooking and the smoke from when you're cooking like hits the flowers, that's damaging your flowers. So as much as possible, you want to keep your flowers away from the sun or any heat source. The second tip I have for keeping flowers last longer is definitely having like a good amount of water. Like when you have, so here I'm gonna just drop it into this bouquet or this vase here. Right now, you'll see that this much of the stems is covered. This is actually not a really good amount of water. You kind of want the water to be almost full, like this much water. Just because there's a lot of flowers in this bouquet, they need a lot of water to all drink properly. So you want to make sure that there's a good amount of water. And we also like to use warm water, almost hot sometimes. Like warm to hot water in our experience works better. Just because like the warm water kind of opens up the flower pores so they're able to drink the water more properly. Like the water actually hits their stem all the way to their bloom. And that's what you want. You want the water to come from the bottom of the stem and travel all the way up so that the bloom is hydrated. And that's always the goal. You want to have the blooms hydrated, that way they last longer. So using warm water is really important in that way, especially if your flowers, like I know like a lot of people will order flowers from us and they're out all day with those flowers. So like those flowers might be out of water for almost 10 hours sometimes. And if that is your case, then you definitely want to use hot water, like enough where you see the steam coming out of the water. That is perfect because that hot water is going to force their flowers to drink it. And that's what we want. Another thing that we do to keep them lasting longer is changing out the water every 2 days. Keeping clean water is really important because the bacteria in the water will actually kill your flowers. So as much as possible, you want to have clean water, clean warm water.
Oh, these are such great tips. I've already like, just in that little question, I have learned so much.
You will notice it too. Like I've done so many trial and error experiments with it, and warm water definitely works. Like you will literally revive flowers that have been out of water for a whole day with just using warm water.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I have lots of YouTube viewers that are saying thank you for this, and it's really wonderful to see you.
Thank
Also,
you.
a question. I love your Instagram. You have a 70s aesthetic, a very 70s aesthetic.
Oh, do we? I didn't notice.
Oh, see, so that kind of answers the question. Is this planned or does it just naturally flow? So I think it just naturally flows.
Naturally flowed. You know, there's like you mentioned, like we are a family business, so there's a lot of ideas always popping up from each one of our family members, and sometimes my sister will just go for it, and I'll like look at the Instagram. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting, and they just go with it, and we just kind of agree with it. And if it's really bad, then we'll let them know.
Let's see. How about the big leaf that you put in that plant? What is that called?
Oh, this is a calathea leaf. It's can you grab me the plant? It's a really popular house plant. I personally would never cut my houseplant leaves, but these are available for sale at the flower market, or you could even, stop by Diosa Blooms here and we'll get you a leaf. But it's but you could actually just use any tropical leaf. We like to just add the tropical leaf just to give it that tropical feel to it, and it connects back to it kind of being more on the Filipino side of the arrangement.
Love it.
This is my sister Kaylene, by the way.
Hi,
I guess she just finished her work, but she grabbed y'all the calathea plant. So this is the house plant version, and this is the ginormous cut stem version. There's a big difference, house plant versus cut stem. And the cut stem is just because our farmers have a big plant that they're willing to cut.
Well, they grow them commercially, but this is also a different variety of a calathea. I forgot what this one was called.
It's a calathea.
Yeah.
Let's see, a couple more questions. Should you spray your flowers with water to keep them fresh?
We do not. We've tried it, and what happens is
Wait, can I share this?
okay, she'd
Okay,
like to
so
share with it.
The one time, I'm pretty new to this, but this one day I was like taking care of the shop by myself, and I like misted all the flowers because I thought it was like plants where you would water them like so. And then Krisha walked into the store and was like, "Why is there water all over the flowers?" And I think within the next hour or so, they were slowly rotting. Water doesn't do it doesn't do the flower good. It actually just starts to rot the petals instead. So you want to keep them away from like misting sources as much as possible. So yeah, don't mist your flowers, please.
Yeah.
If you want them to stay hydrated, again, what Krisha said, warm water is great. Removing any old flowers is like a really important key to keeping the base water clean too, and that will help your flowers last longer. Because not every flower dies at the same rate, so you just need to make sure to take the ones that are rotting out. Otherwise, it'll slowly degrade all the other flowers that are still alive.
This is great info. Great info. Thank you.
I'll add that if you are all trying to figure out what's the best way to keep flowers lasting longer, even more, I will add that, a mixed flower arrangement like this, like something that has different types of flowers, each stem has produces bacteria in the water that is different to its other flower. I don't know if that makes sense, but the stems, they all create different types of bacteria for the water. So actually having different types of flowers doesn't it actually kills the flowers faster, if that makes sense. If you want a more longer lasting arrangement, you want to just stick to one flower. So having a vase arrangement of just roses or just carnations, just one type of flower, you'll notice that it lasts a lot longer than a mixed arrangement because there's not so much cross bacteria in here.
Got it. Interesting. Okay, and then we have this one that my mom always used to do is put in aspirin in the water.
Oh, I hear people do that all the time. Aspirin, and I've even heard of bleach. Those are just tips to keep the water clean.
Ah, gotcha.
Those are things that kind of just cleans the water and kills the bacteria in the water for you without you having to replace the water.
Oh,
yeah. But we don't use any flower food or anything to our flowers. We just make sure that we use warm, clean water every 2 days, which is kind of tedious, but you'll definitely notice the turnout.
excellent. Is there a rule to how many leaves on a stem should be allowed?
No rules. We don't have any rules with this. If anything, we might have a max of stems just because we like to arrange towards a budget. But if you're just arranging for yourself, then
I think they mean like the flat, like the leaves on the bottoms of the stems.
Huh?
Well, what was the question?
Sorry.
And
Is there a rule to how many leaves on the stem should be allowed?
Oh, sorry.
There might
Like this here? Okay, sorry, I did misunderstand that. Yes. We like to make sure that there are no leaves touching the water. So right now, I mean, there's like not an actual rule, but we just like to peel off any leaves as much as possible until it's like clean, because the leaves touching the water makes the stems kind of grimy and rot faster. The the leaves actually, like, if we were to have leaves in this water like that here, that one leaf is going to contaminate this entire vase of water, and it's going to kill the rest of the flowers.
Aha.
You want to
Okay.
make sure that you do clean these leaves. And I'm sorry, that was a really good question. I should have mentioned that because I'm so used to having our leaves cleaned already, I forget.
Oh yeah, that's what the Ruby. Thank you for clarifying. Yes.
Really
Sometimes those Zoom questions get a little we can't decipher. I was just gonna ask, like, tell us like how long have you been in business, and did you want to own your own business, and what is it like? Are you enjoying this?
Oh yeah. So I actually started the business in 2018, and when I started, it was actually just me. Didn't have my sisters on board yet, and I was working for a different flower company as their lead designer full time, and they were so great, so good to me. I have nothing bad to say about them at all. So good to me. And then after a year of working with this as my side and being their lead designer, it kind of just became overwhelming and like really stressful trying to, balance two jobs. So at that point, I then was talking to my sister Kaylene, who you guys just met, and she was like, "Dude, I could help you. Like, I want to help you." She was like, "I want to help you. I want to be a part of this." So she started to help me with some work, and she kind of realized like, "You have no idea what you're doing, do you?" And I was like, "I don't. I'm just a floral designer. I have no business background or any idea of how to really, run a business." So, not that she had that experience either, but she was definitely willing to be part of the process with me to figure it out. So we started working more closely together in 2019, and we were like working in the back of our trunk, like outside in the cold, like for a whole last year. And then after this one day, my sister was working like in the back of her trunk somewhere like by the marina in the city, and this guy kind of harassed her while she was working, and that kind of like set her off and was like, "I can't do this. I can't work in the middle of the street in our trunk anymore. Like, I want to have a space." So that moment kind of initiated us like, okay, like we should have a space. And so ever since then, my sister was like, she was always very encouraging. She was like, "We could do this. Like, if you just really commit to this, like, I think you could do this." So I think it was like 2019, I quit my full-time job and I was like, okay, I'm gonna really commit to this. And we started off in a small studio. It was really small. It was like the size of this room that I'm in. And it didn't really work out because I have a family of 6. So it was really small for a big family. And so just last year, 2020, was when we actually opened this bigger storefront. And then we invited some other family members, like my cousin and my brother's girlfriend, to join us with this business. And it kind of just like slowly kind of like improved and got better. And we're still really new at it, but it's a lot better than what it was before when we started.
That's so amazing. I love it. I love the family connection too. And I hear lots of people start their businesses from the trunk of their car, right?
Yeah, no, it's actually like a independent florist thing to just like work at home.
Uh-huh.
But it wasn't working for us. To just, my apartment looked messy and everything was all over the place. And I think we came to a realization like, okay, like we should really focus on where we want this business to go, like which direction do we want it to grow. So we kind of like had to make some decisions. Like after I quit my full-time job, my sister, she actually quit her full-time job, and we just kind of like committed to this. We're like, okay, we both just quit our job and we both don't really know what we're doing, but we're gonna do it together and
Yay.
and
That's-
just kind of hope for the best.
That's a great story. It's a great story.
But you know, it's really, really great, and I will say like a huge part of our success right now is really, really connecting with our peoples. Like I can't tell you how many times like a person will walk in and they'll be like, "We just wanted to come in and support your business because we found out that you're Filipino and you're a Filipino family business." And that alone has just given us so much support and confidence in our business. So thank you to all our Filipinos.
That's wonderful. That's fantastic. Debbie wants to know how the pandemic affected your business.
So I feel like the pandemic, because we opened our business in the midst of the pandemic and we're still in the pandemic, I'm not entirely sure what it's like being without the pandemic, if that makes sense. But when we first opened our business last year in July, there was this not weird, but there was a big trend where people wanted to be at home with their plants. So because of that trend, we were really busy with plants. And now that plants are like everyone has their plants, like the plant hype is kind of more calmed down. We don't really see a lot of people coming in for plants, and they're actually just coming in now for flowers, which is great because flowers is what we really wanted our business on anyways. And with the pandemic kind of like calming down there and events are opening up again, we're actually getting a lot of inquiries for events, whether it's birthday parties, baby showers, and a big part of it is our weddings. So that's definitely keeping us stay afloat right now.
That's fantastic. Okay, I'm putting the website in again. I'm also adding in your Instagram, which is really gorgeous. I love.
Thank you.
Kirsty, who was on earlier, our small business librarian, highlights all of the small businesses on her Instagram, and it's just always harvesting to see what she's up to. I'm going to come back on screen. Kirsty, you can come back on screen too if you want.
Thank you so much.
SFPL really thanks you so much for sharing your business with us and sharing what you do. And I love the no rules, even though it wasn't the right question, but it was the right answer, no rules. And I feel like you're doing that. And
Thank you.
Thank you. See you succeed and see your sister succeed and doing what you're doing in our Bay Area and thrive.
Thank you so much for having us. This was very exciting. I was a little nervous in the beginning, but you guys definitely make me feel comfortable, and I really enjoy seeing all the comments here. That's very reassuring. So thank you so much, y'all.
Yeah, we appreciate you sharing your work with the library community.
Thanks.
Krisha.
How about Kirsty? You want to close us out?
I just wanted to thank Krisha again for an amazing presentation and continued success and growth for Diosa Blooms. I'm just like blown away by your small business, and I can't wait to go to the store. I think I'm going to go this weekend. But thank you so much, Krisha.
Thank you so much. If you do stop by this weekend, because it is Filipino American History Month, we're highlighting different Filipino artists in the Bay Area by allowing them to take some of our space here and feature their art. So I think we're having 2 artists this Sunday, and you could come see their work this Sunday. So I definitely recommend stopping by on a Sunday. It'll be more fun.
Yes, I will. Thank you. Well, thank you everyone for joining us.
Thanks everyone. Really appreciate it.